Okay, so thank you so much for attending this webinar, Stress, Hormones, and How Nutrition Helps, hosted by Pamela Leno from Ideal Wellness Northwest. Whoops. Pam is a multi-certified hypnotherapist, instructor, and life coach trained at Quantum Edge Healing Institute, Cascade Hypnosis Center, Institute of High Performance, and Quantum Success Coaching Academy. In practice, she actively promotes weight loss, creates more peace, and reduces stress response for calmness, and stops spider fear, among other things. Her latest book is now available on Amazon and is already an international bestseller. Get it free for Kindle Unlimited. And thanks for being here, Pam. I will turn the time over to you now.
Awesome. Thank you. Do I get to see people's faces or do I just get to see names?
If they put themselves on camera, we can ask that people put themselves on camera if they feel
If you feel
comfortable with that.
comfortable, I would love that, but that's okay too. Either way is fine. Thank you for having me. This is, I think, what, my third or fourth year working with you guys, and there are some people showing up. Thank you. I really look forward to this event because I think that it really has an important part of what we're doing in our community, as well as helping with our veterans and everything else that we do here. So one of the things I really wanted to work on today, and I do this a lot in my clinic, in my office, which you can see in my background, is really helping people to find what it is that they're looking for in their lives to improve, or to get rid of, or to change. And a lot of times it's really a challenge for us to do that because we have something in our conscious mind called a critical factor. Okay. And the critical factor is something that when you say you want to do something, say, I want to lose 20 pounds. Okay, fantastic. And really wanting to do that is great. And so you change your diet and you start to exercise. And 3 weeks later, you're back doing the same thing you were doing before, because that's kind of how we do stuff. And it's frustrating. It doesn't help us very much in that process. And it is because that critical factor of your conscious mind is comparing what you're trying to do to every single thing you've ever done in your life. And if it's something new, it's going to say, yeah, we'll do it for a while with willpower. But if you really want to change long term, we're going to have to really work on that. So I know we've all ran into that. I know I have too. And one of the things that hypnotherapy does, which is one of the reasons I love it so much, is it bypasses that critical factor of the conscious mind. And we have access now to your subconscious mind, which is like the hard drive of your body. Everything and anything that's ever happened in your life or been said to you is all recorded there. And the subconscious mind has unlimited memory. So that means everything else that you're thinking about or seeing or doing in your life is going to get stored there as well. So in hypnotherapy, we can bypass that critical factor that stops you from getting to the things you want for the long term and be able to access what programs are running in the background that are stopping you from really being able to do and accomplish the things that you want to do. It's very simple. It's a very easy process as well. It's not a magic wand. There is some effort involved. And that's one of the things I wanted to talk with you about today. So I'm also certified with HeartMath, which is a new certification, I think, since all the ones that Grace was so kind to listen to. But anyway, the interesting part about what we do in HeartMath is they are an institution in California that has been studying the correlation of how the brain and the heart work together. They're supposed to work in coherence. The problem with that is our brain is very noisy and it's very influenced by outside influences in our life, things that we see, stuff that we hear, all of those kind of things. But the heart is very quiet. And interestingly enough, science has proven to us that the heart actually sends more information to the brain than the brain does to the heart. The thing is, it's very quiet and you have to get quiet to be able to listen to it. So one of the things I wanted to share with you today is some very easy techniques that can really kind of put you in charge. Shifting from hypnotherapy to hormones, how many of you have stress in your life? Right? Everybody does. And stress can be there's three kinds of stress. Stress can be very motivating. It can, motivate you to get married and go through all the processes that go into creating and implementing a marriage. It can go into all kinds of different things, buying a home. There is good stress and it does motivate us to do some things. And then there's acute stress, which is the thing that makes you slam on your brakes so you don't run into the car in front of you. And then there is chronic stress. And I have written about all of these in my book. The name of my book is, if you just go look for it, it's Weight Loss Hypnosis. Not necessarily the title I wanted to name it, but the one I wanted to name it had some explicit language in it. So So, and my producer didn't think that was such a great idea. Anyway, there's a lot more information in that book other than about weight loss. There are things about, there's a whole chapter on stress actually. And in my belief system, I think that stress is actually something that should be on pretty much every death certificate, and it's not. Because chronic stress and untreated stress is a hormonal response. So what happens? So you're in a situation to where there is continual stress in your life, or even if there was traumatic stress for you as a child, the body begins to produce a hormone created by the adrenal glands called cortisol. And cortisol is going to get in the way of all kinds of different things being appropriate and healing for your body. It interrupts sleep. It makes you gain weight. It keeps you from recovering and healing in the way that you should. And if you have uncontrolled chronic stress in your life, that hormone is running out of control. Now, what happens is that the heart sends a signal based on the blood that the heart is receiving. It sends a signal to the brain that there is a certain level of cortisol hormone in your bloodstream. The brain then decides if you're going to fight, you're going to run, or you're going to freeze. What are you going to do? So this is your stress hormone response. Now, it doesn't need to be a big dramatic stress hormone response. It can be very subtle, but it's still happening. And then what happens is the amygdala of the brain decides that that level of cortisol in your bloodstream is normal. So then something comes along that maybe isn't just that stressful, but it's irritating or frustrating. And your body will then say, okay, we are going to have this level of stress hormone in the body because that's what's normal. And it begins to set a baseline of cortisol stress hormones in your brain. Okay. Now, to get that to change, it takes about 5 to 6 weeks of decreasing that level of cortisol in your bloodstream for the brain to be able to decide that there is a new hormone available called DHEA. It is a big, long scientific word, and I can't pronounce it all. But if you call it DHEA and look it up, you'll see that that is our rejuvenation hormone. That is the hormone that helps us to recover. It's the hormone that helps us to rest. It's the hormone that helps our body to heal. It's the hormone that helps us to regulate, self-regulation. And when you can realize that you have the ability to stop the cortisol levels in your body, slow them down, and create DHEA simply with your mind intending to do so with a very simple practice, it puts you back in control. So, Grace, do we have the emotional examples?
Yeah, they are in the chat. I put them
Oh,
in the
great.
chat so
Okay.
people should be able to open them up and look at them.
Okay, fantastic. If you wouldn't mind opening up the emotional examples of for the grid, it just says emotional examples. It's a sheet of paper. There are 4 different little graphs, quadrants, I guess I should say, on that piece of paper. And I want you to look at that piece of paper and tell yourself, just within yourself, you can put it in the chat if you want. I'm going to have a tough time trying to follow that and speak. It's kind of like, yeah, I can't do that. Anyway, look at that, look at those grids and decide for yourself which of those 4 grids you live in most of the time. Okay, just take a second. And then maybe it's just a couple of them. But in my experience and what I do here, most of the time when people come to me and they're looking for some changes in their life, they've been living on the left-hand side. Does that sound familiar to a lot of you? So what happens when you even just read those words that are familiar to you in how you're in your life most of the time, notice how your body feels. Now, there is an actual physical reaction happening here. And again, this is science. So when you are living in that left-hand quadrant, either one of them, the body is producing either a low level of cortisol, or if you're up in the top left-hand side, a very high level of cortisol, and the cells of your body are responding to that, and that is why you don't like how it feels. What's happening is the body's cells are responding to the words. Now, every word that you say, every thought you think is a blueprint that your body, your mind, and your psyche work to make real. Okay, so this is why when you think of those things or you're experiencing something that's not comfortable, the cells of your body respond. When you're in that state, the cells of your body will slow down, they will die off, and your immune system becomes exposed. And that is why it doesn't feel good. Okay, now, taking a look at that grid again, look to the right and pick out just 2 or 3 words from the lower right quadrant that you would much rather have in your life. Peace and ease is one that I use all the time. It's very easy, and it's something that I would really like to have more of in my life, and most people would too. And when you read those words, again, I want you to just tune into your body and notice how you feel. It feels completely different. It's like thinking about a murder scene and thinking about puppies and rainbows, right? There, those two different things create a different hormonal response in our physical body simply by what we're thinking about. And who's in control of your thoughts? You are. So when you realize that that's how much power you have, it makes it really easy to begin to try to change these things in your life so that you feel better most of the time or can self-regulate in a situation that might be very stressful. And this is all hormonally related. Okay. So once you have a few of those words from the lower right quadrant, I want you to go to the next paper that is in the chat. I hope it's still there too. Yes. Let's see. Yes. So you're going to look at now the depletion to renewal grid. And this is all from HeartMath. They are fantastic in what their studies have done. And it's really, they've been doing this for 30 plus years. So they know what they're talking about. They have physicists on staff. They have very powerful professors on staff. And this is all based on science that I use in my clinic with most of my clients to help them to be able to self-regulate. Now, if you're looking at that depletion to renewal grid, you'll notice that if the two left-hand top quadrants represented the two left-hand sides of the emotional examples, you can see that those are very depleting emotions. They are taking your energy. That is the cells dying off. Okay. It really does energetically deplete you. And what happens then is that is those, just even feeling that way is producing those cortisol hormones within your body that we just talked about. Okay. And so if you look down below at part number 2, you can see what those depleting emotions and attitudes actually do to you physically. Okay. Make more mistakes, complain, headache, body tension, brain fog, difficulty sleeping, exhausted, drained, rushed, overreact, interrupt, overeat. We deal a lot with that here, and short temper. So you can see that even just feeling or thinking of those words of where you've been living in those quadrants are important to you, what it's doing to you physically. Okay. It is producing cortisol. And remember, I talked about how if cortisol levels stay consistent for a period of time, the amygdala of the brain decides that those are normal levels of cortisol, and they will help you to produce those by creating something. Maybe you have a discussion with your spouse or husband or whatever, and it's not necessarily that stressful, but the cortisol, your amygdala will go, oh, this is stressful, because it needs to get its level of cortisol, stress hormone, from you to feel normal again. Okay. Now, if you look at the right-hand side of that same depletion to renewal grid, and you realize that those two right-hand quadrants are representing the two right-hand quadrants on the emotional example, you can see that those are renewing and emotional attitudes that are going to renew you, to rebuild your energy, to help you self-regulate, to move you to the next level to where you feel better most of the time. So if you look at what those are, this is where you actually stop the producing of cortisol. You move into your parasympathetic system of your body, and you begin to create that hormone I mentioned earlier, DHEA. This is your revitalization hormone. So if you simply just read some of those words on the right-hand side and you notice that there was a change in how your body responded to those, yeah, it did, because you shifted off of cortisol and began to produce DHEA, a new hormone for your body to regulate to. Now, over a period of practicing this for 5 to 6 weeks, the amygdala then decides that there's a new level of hormone in your system called DHEA. And if you look at what that effect has on you, you think more clearly, you're better focused, you're less distracted, composed, less critical, more energy, sleep better, less tense, fewer body aches, make better decisions, and communicate more effectively. I don't know about you, but I would much rather live on that side. So this is just what's considered self-regulation. You can take any kind of a situation and decide in the moment if you would rather allow cortisol to run this situation, or if you would like to take control of that, shift over by simply reading some of those words in the right quadrant and realize that you can self-regulate because your body responded just to the words that you read. Okay. It's that simple. It's really that simple. I teach all of my clients here another very simple exercise called heart focused breathing. Okay. And again, this is just a very simple exercise. You can do it with your eyes open, your eyes closed. It doesn't matter. And again, this is a heart math technique that I teach to everybody, because even children do so great with this. In fact, I'm working on a program right now to help teens from the age of 9 to 16 to self-regulate themselves. Can you imagine if you'd had that ability at that age? I know it would have helped me a lot. But it's a very simple exercise, and I can teach it to you very quickly. If you'd like to join with me, that's fine. I can also send that to Grace as well, and I will have that handout at my table tomorrow at the live event as well, if any of you are attending. So again, very simple. All you do is you just breathe in a little bit slower and out a little bit slower and deeper than normal. Okay, so I usually just have people breathe in the count of 5 and breathe out the count of 5. And you notice as you exhale that your shoulders drop, okay? You're also stimulating the vagus nerve, the longest nerve in your body, to begin to relax. And that also is attached to your adrenal glands where stress hormones are produced. So if you breathe in, count of 5, breathe out, count of 5. And then just focus on the area of your body where your heart is, okay? And then just imagine that when you breathe in that count of 5, that the air is coming in through your heart and exhaling out through your heart. And you'll notice as you do that, that there is a sense of physical peace that accompanies that, yes? Yeah. So just breathe in through your heart and breathe out through your heart. And again, eyes open, eyes closed, while driving, while talking to somebody, doesn't matter. You can do this anywhere, and it helps your body to hormonally self-regulate, okay? Now, to make this even more powerful, when you breathe in and out, I want you to think of something, someone, somewhere that you are grateful for. It can be a pet, it can be a spouse, it can be somewhere in nature, doesn't matter. But just bring that into your mind and breathe it in and breathe it out. And notice the sense of peace and ease that your body now feels. Anybody experiencing that? So a very simple trick. And all you've done in that point of time is just to, yes, it is immediate. You're right. I'm seeing stat chats come in now. Great. Thank you. I can read them now that I'm not looking at my paper. But it's immediate. You're right. And so in that instant, literally 3 breaths, if even that many, really help you to notice that your body can be self-regulated with your intention. Now, intention is a very powerful piece as well. I study a lot with a woman named Lynn McTaggart, who actually did intention experiments across the world. And when a group of people get together with the same intention, let's just say that you have a work group that you're working with and you're working on a project. If you all have the same intention about the project, do you think that that project might be accomplished sooner and easier? Absolutely. And so if you set an intention while you're doing this practice with these things that I've just taught you today, and you realize that, I can actually create this within my life anytime I want to, I wish to, I would like to have it be there more often. And the other thing that really happens with this too is the more that you practice it, it's like anything else. Your mind learns from repetition. So the more that you practice this, it starts to become what I call a default mechanism. How many have you a default printer on your computer that every time you hit print, it goes to your default printer, right? That's because you set it up that way. And so when you practice these things over a period of time, they become a default mechanism. So you hit into maybe a traffic jam, right? And you're in a hurry to get somewhere, and you feel that sense of tension and stress starting to come up in your body, and you just go, oh man, this is going to be horrible. And you start talking to yourself in the manner that it's going to be horrible. And guess what? It's going to be horrible. If you take that moment right there when you realize that that does not feel like what you would like to experience, and you simply choose to be at peace and ease, and you take a couple of breaths just like I taught you, it's going to change how you self-regulate in that moment. Okay. And when you do that, you are now in control of the cortisol and you are presenting DHEA to your body. Everything starts to feel differently. And the more you do that, the more your body will actually, when you run into these situations, it'll take a deep breath all on its own, because you've taught it to do so. I like to equate it to, have any of you had a puppy and trained it to go outside? think we all have at some point, or know somebody who has, right? And you don't just expect the puppy to go outside on its own. You take it to the door over and over and over until finally the puppy goes to the door on its own. Same thing with your brain. You've got to train it. And when that happens, interestingly enough, there are new neural pathways that begin to connect in your brain. And when you collect that into your brain, it becomes something that is just natural. And it doesn't take that long. It's just a repetitiveness, and it was an instantaneous relief that you felt when you were doing the breathing exercise. And then the more you do it, once or twice a day, 3 times a day. I have a little, HeartMath actually has apps that you can use as well to see when your heart and mind are working in coherence and the DHEA is being produced. It's quite amazing. The more that you do those things, the more that those regulations and those neurons get stronger. And as they get stronger, they start to self-regulate on their own. You don't even have to do it anymore. It's just like driving your car. I mean, how many of you remember the very first time you ever drove a car? Were you in focused attention? Yeah, of course you were, because you had never done that before. It was brand new, and you'd paid complete 100% attention to everything that was going on around you. But now you go from point A to point B, and maybe you even pass your exit once in a while because you have taught yourself to drive the car with repetitive operations, okay? Now you drive it without even thinking about it. You have trained your subconscious mind to drive your car. And the rest of your mind is off doing something else somewhere completely different. So that's how this works too. It's like anything that you try to do in your life, the more that you practice it, and this is very easy. I mean, honestly, it took you 3 breaths to begin to have that sensation of the DHA being programmed into your body, and it felt so much better. The more you do it, the more you're going to want to do it. So we're coming up on just a couple more minutes here. It looks like 1:23. I got to 1:30, right, Grace? Okay. Does anybody have any questions?
Mine's not so much a question, but thank you for the tool, because it's a really simple tool that we can use in the workplace with clients as well as each other. So yeah, it's very, very helpful. Thank you.
You're so welcome. And like you said, it is so easy, and no one needs to know that you're even doing it. It is, and can you imagine if you could teach this to, I don't know if you have children or not, but teach this to children, because when they can learn that their heart actually can be something that is helping them to stay calm and stay in control, it's going to help them in performances before a test. If they're in school, I've got one of my employees has a daughter who plays volleyball. I taught this to her and her team because they self-regulate before they start to play. And when they do that, they do so much better than if they just go out there being, flighty and not sure what their game plan is going to be. It's a self-regulation of your own body. And when, like I was telling you, when you do that, those neurons of your brain become stronger. And so now she's able to do this on her own without really having to intend to as much. Oh, so we've got a dog who trained it. Exactly. Okay. I'm reading in the chat about BC. Is that BC? Potty trained, right? Yes. Okay. And that is it. Literally taking them to the door over and over again until they finally learn on their own. And that's kind of what our brains do too. And the more that we practice this stuff, the better. So
sorry.
Yeah.
Her name is BZ.
Oh, BZ. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. And now is she potty trained?
It took her a hot minute because, like I said, Basset Hounds are very stubborn dogs. And so, yeah, she's 8 months old now, and she is potty trained.
Yay. Congratulations. But look at how consistent you had to be too, right? It's true. Any of the things, any of the changes that you want in your life do take consistency. The nice thing about hypnotherapy is it's a great way to bypass a lot of the time it takes for big habits that you want to change. I work a lot with people who have smoking cessation. I'm working with a woman right now who has smoked pot since 6 o'clock in the morning every single day, all day long, and as of yesterday, she is free. So it's a really interesting process. It's very great. It works wonderfully. And the reason I started to do hypnotherapy was because Ideal Wellness Northwest was primarily a weight management clinic for a long time. I worked with Dr. Nooney for years and still do in many of the things that we work with here. And it seems to be that there is just a consistency of being able to bypass that critical factor and help yourself from a deep internal message and go from there. It looks like somebody had their hand up. Yeah, go ahead.
Just had a question about what the length of time. I know it'd probably vary on the person and everything, but to break a habit of smoking, like you said, or negative thought, or whatever the situation is, what would you say would be the standard time frame that you would allow per client?
You know, habitual things like smoking cessation, one thing I will share is that if you would like to do hypnotherapy for any of those things, the first and most important thing is you have to really want to change. If you do not want to change, I cannot help you. I have had people come to me that want to quit smoking, and the first thing I will ask them is, do you enjoy smoking? If the answer is yes, I can't help them.
Yeah,
They have to really want to stop it, like foreverness. I mean, this is not just a temporary thing. In my sessions, I don't do less than 5. There's a psychological reason for that on how the brain works and how it stores energy. And what we know about changing things is because of the amygdala now. And like I was talking about how the stress hormone and the DHEA are regulated through there. And it takes about 5 to 6 weeks for that hormone, for the amygdala to determine if that hormone is the right one or not. And once you have established that there is a DHA level in your body for 5 to 6 weeks, now that becomes the new baseline for your amygdala, and you'll be surprised how much calmer you feel automatically. It's not like you even have to intend it. But yeah, 5 weeks is my minimum.
And is this something that the VA offer? Do you know if they're the federal VA? Okay.
No, unfortunately, it is a cash only. We do not have the ability to bill insurance of any kind. I don't know if there's a program that maybe the VA would like to do. I can do group sessions as well.
Yeah.
So, something like that might be really valuable. Grace, maybe you can lead us on what to do with that, huh?
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for the question. Anybody else have anything? Well, I'll just share a little bit more of my history. Yes, it could be your next vacation. I see my clients once a week. My sessions are anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours long. And there is reading required. I do work a lot with a man named Calvin Banyan. He is one of the leaders of a certification that I hold. And he writes a book called The Secret Language of Feelings. And one of the things that I can share with you right now, if any of these sound familiar to you, I keep this book very handy. The primary emotions that cause us to do too much behaviors or really want to change things in our life. And there's nothing wrong with these feelings, because feelings are trying to tell you that you have a need, want, or desire that's not being met. But these are a lot of the things that I run into here. The primary feelings are boredom, anger, guilt, sadness, loneliness, inadequacy, stress, and fear. Most of the things that people come to me to change in their lives are based on those emotions. And I'll tell you, there's nothing wrong with any of those. They're absolutely normal. But what you do need to figure out is, what is that emotion trying to tell you? What is the need, want, or desire that is coming up for you emotionally that's not being met? And when we can figure that out, now we have something to work from. Because a lot of times people will take these and they're uncomfortable, so they move them off into a well somewhere and they never deal with it. And then it just sits down there and continues to fester and fester until something breaks. And that's usually your DNA chain, which is a stress base. And then you do something that you don't really want to do, but you do it because it'll make you have some relief, or you think that it will. And that's one of the things that we really work with here, is finding those root causes and then giving you new information to be able to move forward with. All right, we have came to 1:30. Thank you guys very much. I am going to be at the live event tomorrow, and I'll have some treats from our store for you. If you'd like peanut butter, they're very good. And there, I think there's a mystery thing that you're supposed to find at my booth tomorrow as well. So I look forward to seeing you all. If you're going to stop by, that'd be great. Make sure you let me know that you were here today. That would be awesome.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Pam, for presenting. I think you're one of our original presenters that we had for online wellness fairs. The next webinar is at 2:00. It's titled Work, Outreach, and Resources of DFI, and it's presented by Nathan Speaker from Department of Financial Institutions. I'm going to post the link right now. All of the webinars will be posted to our wellness YouTube and our wellness fair page that I will post. And like Pam said, she is going to be at our in-person wellness fair tomorrow at Liquor Cannabis Board. So if you are in the Olympia area, even if you're not with DVA, feel free to come on over. Everybody is welcome. Come join her and our other 25 wellness vendors and do some puppy cuddles and kitten cuddles. And you can get a flu shot and a B12 shot, and you can donate blood. And I think they're going to have Foursquare, if I recall correctly. Yeah, Liquor Cannabis Board is hosting a Foursquare tournament outside, and so it's going to be a lot of fun. Come to Liquor Cannabis Board 10 to 1 and see Pam and get the peanut butter treats. I'm curious.
Thank you guys so much. It was wonderful to be here today. Thanks, Grace. Bye-bye.
Bye.